journalist Mikael Karmas in Estonian national television program Eyewitness on March 2nd, 2016. Next, we will talk about a new school of thought that is surprising, positive, and spreading ever faster. A host of famous actors, musicians, businessmen, and other wise people who at first glance seem perfectly reasonable have lately been completely enthralled by the art of conscious change that, according to them, turned a wholly new page in their lives. To top it off, it even guarantees to remove all the negative emotions. It is remarkable that this is a homegrown school of thought that is founded by the Liliorus Eco-Village's spiritual teacher, Ingvar Villido. Anger, sadness, depression, jealousy, fear, and so on. Imagine if no negative emotion and no obsessive thought would ever trouble you again. Sounds too good to be true. Allegedly, a sorrow-free life is actually much closer than ever before, and this thanks to a school of thought developed in Estonia. You will learn the technology, how it works. It works very simply. You release it. Your sadness is gone, and all those things are gone. Your sufferings are finished. This sounds like just another empty promise from the next self-help guru. We might have overlooked the topic too, if not for a fascinating pattern. Many famous and successful Estonian people are ready and willing to testify as to the efficiency of this mysterious teaching that is the art of conscious change. For example, the musician Toomas Mägi, fashion designer Reit Aus, who received the Estonian State Decoration from the President this year, actor Robert Annus, known from popular TV shows, chairman of the supervisory board of the Estonian Development Fund, Ville Jehe, and the former TV presenter Agi Vahing are just a faction of those who say that nothing has been the same after the art of conscious change was brought into their lives. I remember when I went to listen to these courses. The first lecture was such a eureka effect. How hadn't I realized those things myself? The most noticeable part of the teaching for me is that I have so much more time. The rise in efficiency is enormous. A very simple example from my own life is that when previously I might have spent weeks on designs, I now only need, well, I don't even dare to say how little time I need. I had a difficult period in life where I found it hard to cope or harder to cope than before. And I didn't know where to turn for help at the time. The wisdom from books didn't help me. But I found this place through a friend who had visited Liliorus before. And I went and asked for help. And then I was given help. I cannot name a single problem that it couldn't help against. Far from this. It is not only for problems, but also for those who don't have any problems whatsoever. They think everything is perfectly fine, when it can actually be so much better. I was recently at an airport and had a free moment in between flights. And then I looked at some screen there and felt something I had forgotten, something I had used to feel frequently, a sudden and very strong drop in my mood. And at first I was scared that, oh God, this old thing is back. But then I realized, wait, it's just an emotion, a very abrupt bout of depression. I applied this technique, and it was gone in an instant. I was sitting there at the airport and thought that in the past I had needed days, well, at least hours, days sometimes, even months, to come out of this. Agi Vahing, the communication expert and former host of American Idol's Estonian version, Estonia is Searching for a Superstar, and several other TV shows, astonished the public 6 years ago when she had her long blonde hair cut off, danced eccentrically on the streets of New York, and openly admitted to our show that for years she had been battling a serious eating disorder, bulimia. I think that I am familiar with the majority of means of self-destruction. I tried everything to restrain this one thing. What does it mean then? Drugs? Alcohol? Everything, yes. Even the dancing that made somewhat of an odd impression was one of the means that Aigi used in her battles against her problem and the accompanying deep depression. In addition, countless consultations with doctors and healers, dozens of self-help books read through, but still the dark thoughts caught up to her until she found the art of conscious change. I have been practicing for 4 years. Some things disappeared really fast. Others have taken longer. And now, as of a few months, I can say that I haven't had anything for a long time in my everyday life that would have pulled the rug out from under my feet. What magic wand is this art of conscious change? The developer of the school of thought, the founder of Lili Oru, and yoga teacher Ingvar Villido, one who is celebrating his 54th birthday today, said that everything started when he understood teaching Kriya Yoga, that local people don't fully grasp this most ancient system of yoga born in India. It was necessary to find out where the full understanding of the teaching is getting stuck. And then I studied the reasons why this happens. And I found a very simple thing. The emotionality of people that works completely automatically, in the most part independently from their will. People's thoughts, how they work, where they originate from. I also discovered that people don't lead their thoughts. This is in complete contrast to what they usually believe. And I discovered that they all have an awareness that they actually use extremely rarely in their everyday life. And finally, that they don't know who they really are. Not theoretically, but practically. And if you summarize all those things and synthesize a teaching that would be understood by anyone off the street, then this is the art of conscious change. In order to fully understand this art and acquire the necessary techniques, one would have to undergo a series of 5 seminars. But to get the basics and reach the first noticeable changes, a 2-day course, which cost a rather steep price of €200 in 2016, is sufficient. To summarize, the teaching is based on the 5 body systems stemming from Kriya Yoga, according to which a human being has not only the visible physical body, but the person's emotional and mental body, their intellect or intelligence, and finally, the true identity or the true self are exactly as important and independent. You start to perceive that there is not just the physical tonus magi inside yourself, but also that emotions that are separate live their own life. Mentality lives its own life. The intellect lives its own life. That all these are there, and sometimes the mentality doesn't know what the emotion is doing. You get something done emotionally, and the mentality is following, trying to catch up.
Nendel kursustel õpid sa tundma iseennast.
In these courses, you will learn to know yourself, your own emotions, your own mentality, to see them, to recognize them. And in these courses, you will be taught to, for example, distance yourself from it at the moment you recognize this emotion or thought. And you can do this at any moment you recognize that I have this emotion now. And I am aware that I don't need this particular emotion at that given moment. In this course, you will receive really a very simple skill to let go of it or to pull away, and it will no longer disturb you. The teaching explains how to distance your real self from your real emotions and thoughts. And if you need to release the bad feelings or thoughts, to send them away from yourself. When the physical body aches, we deal with the pain and drive it away by dressing the wound, blowing on it, or taking a painkiller. With the mental or emotional body, people don't know how to act so operatively. Even worse, we are accustomed to identifying ourselves with our thoughts and feelings and defining our being on basis of these. It is basically the same as if we had a street with heavy traffic. When you look at the cars, then in terms of the inner world, we don't usually look at those cars, but are instead constantly running between them and jumping on one, driving around a little, then jumping on the next one. We go along with our thoughts and emotions the whole time. This teaching says that you need to be distanced from this. Other teachings also say this. That is, witness this traffic and the noise from the side. But this teaching says that you can also influence those cars. You can make it so that this red car that is constantly bumping into others and causing dents and causing problems for you in your life will never come on that street again. The first and long-standing executive director of the news portal Delfi, today a multi-entrepreneur and chairman of the supervisory board of the Estonian Development Fund, Ville Jehi, has spent more than 20 years in search of broadening his inner world and spirituality, practicing different martial arts and yoga. Today, he is the second person in Estonia, besides Ingvar Villido, who teaches the art of conscious change to others, mainly to his fellow entrepreneurs. He does that because he believes that if he hadn't found it, he might have ended up burning himself out. I believe this helps me achieve a lot more, because I really have many different things going on, and I believe that I would have to give up a big part of them, because readjusting myself from the problems and challenges of one company to those of another the way I do, that I am actively involved in 5 to 6 companies, and additionally playing all kinds of public roles. This helps me switch over very easily. At the same time, my productivity, efficiency, and energy are high. The final goal of the teaching is to completely release the person from his or her emotions and thoughts, both positive and negative. This way, only the final body will remain, or as Ingvar Villido himself calls it, the human 2.0, who is completely and consciously living in the present moment and doesn't worry about neither his past nor the future, and isn't troubled by disturbing thoughts or emotion. Still, a great majority of us believe that it is precisely our emotions and ideas that give us our face and make life worth living. What would happen to a person that doesn't feel emotions anymore? It doesn't mean that you become emotionless. It simply means that you now have the opportunity to use them. The emotions don't use you. You use them. Of course, the whole palette exists. They don't vanish anywhere. But the fundamental difference is that anger is anger, and anger is one and the same for all of us. It's the same thing. And when you feel this anger coming, and there is some kind of influence from the outside, or something that awakens this anger, then you just don't go along with it, but can distance yourself from it. But sometimes you still need to assert yourself or do something. Then you know how to take it and use it. Rather, the difference is that you gain more control over your own life. All the initiated emphasis that the art of conscious change is not so much a spiritual teaching that might be compared to religion, for example, than a thoroughly practical system of teaching that works in every instance if the techniques are applied correctly. Ingvar Villido assures that it works 100% of the time, irrespective of your age, gender, religious beliefs, or any other features. Due to this, even though Ville Oru is in some circles known as a gathering place for practitioners of the esoteric, its founder and yoga teacher Ingvar Villido refused to be filmed in yoga poses for this clip to avoid comparisons and confusions with different esoteric self-help movements. I am a person of very practical nature, and I can say with a very calm mind that even though I don't know how people, each individual separately, understand esotericism, but for me there is absolutely nothing esoteric in it. It is extremely true to life, extremely practical, applicable in everyday life. I am an engineer by education, and the precision in these techniques very much appeals to me. Everything is explained, why it works like this, why I can influence this specific emotion. You can put it into practice yourself and see that the effect is there. Where's the esoteric in that? It is simply a working system. The supporters of the art of conscious change might be right in this, because the phenomenon called mindfulness or awareness that Ingvar Villido's teaching is also based on is finding increasing scientific study in the world and is showing results that verify Villido's claims about the importance of living in the moment and its beneficial influence on taming emotions and thoughts. The conscious revolution even made it to the front page of the prestigious American journal Time 2 years ago. But the local practitioners argue that that among all the practices for using awareness that have been proposed until now, the art of conscious change is the fastest and easiest to apply and gives the most lasting results, thus making it truly revolutionary. I myself have called it the silent revolution because it takes place in the inner world of each person. No banners or headlines are needed. You just change your inner world yourself to live your life better and to feel better. If I may predict, I have this very strong inner feeling that in about 20 years, the whole world will speak about Ingvar as someone very special, or about his teaching as something very special. The whole world.